February is the month of love, and it's important to love yourself in the areas of relationships, career, spirituality, and health and wellness. So this month, we're featuring some special guests as they talk about those different areas and how they apply to their lives. Hi everyone. Today I am so excited to have Pastor Cara Railey here with us. She is co-lead pastor at the Oaks Church in Red Oak. She's my co-lead pastor. I am so blessed to know her and have her here today. She is also a wife, mother of 3 teenage boys. One's about to go to college.
Yep, it's true.
And she implemented the incredible Oaks Women's Ministry that we have here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, Michelle, I'm so honored to be here. This is such a fun moment because we've been in ministry together for a while. Yeah, so
our kids were babies.
They were babies. They were babies wearing tutus and costumes at church and the whole thing. So it's just so fun to see how God's allowed us to continue to minister alongside each other. Because you're a pastor in this church too. We often refer to Michelle as Pastor Michelle because of how many girls you pour into and lead and disciple. So we're so grateful for you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, I'm so honored.
So when you are aligned in your relationship with the Lord, you are receiving clarity, right? What ways do you find are best for you to find that clarity and to be in your best relationship with the Lord?
Yeah, sure. And that is so important because if you're not aligned with the Lord, it's like the rest of your life is just out of whack. You know? So it is really top priority for me to stay in alignment with God and what he's calling me to in my life, what he's speaking over my life. And I don't know another way to do that other than to figure out who he is and what he's saying. And that's through reading the word and being in prayer. And if you've been in church like maybe ever, or if you've had faith for a long time at all, you've heard that over and over and over again, right?
Sure.
You've got to read the word and you've got to be praying. And so as a pastor, I would love to say, like, I have the new idea. The new idea to stay aligned is, ta-da!
The 5-minute fix.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? I think God is so good to make it simple, and he just says it over and over and over again. Read my words, so you can get to know me, and every day talk to me, because I want to be in relationship with you. So for me, it's every morning I have to start reading the word. I love having a Bible plan that keeps me on track. That's my personality. If I can check the box, that's awesome. And just the guide to tell me what to do. Yeah. So nothing better than the Bible app, YouVersion Bible app, gajillion plans, right? Whatever you want to be studying or just to take you through the word. So I love having that Bible plan. For how I learn and process, I kind of have to take some time to journal. Okay. Some mornings I need to say like, I'm stressed out and this is why. And other mornings, like I feel like my soul just wants to say, I love you so much. And I'm so thankful for you. But I have to have a few minutes of journaling, just like getting what's in here and swirling out. So I know like I've said it. And then, for me, prayer's best if I'm moving. So I try to walk. I try to, even if I'm driving in the car, like those are the times that I feel like I pray best, I guess I would say.
I'm a driving prayer.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what it is about us girls, but it's like I don't know how to do one thing at once. I only know how to do 10 things at once. Absolutely. So, right, like I pray best when I'm also like on my walk with the dog or like when I'm driving or whatever. But man, I can't go without the prayer time. And it's not a lot of reciting. It's like, what's in my soul right now? You know, what am I asking him for? What do I want to say to him? Conversations, which means there's a part where I'm quiet and he's talking.
That's awesome.
So I'm having to get better at that. That prayer's not just me talking. Prayer's also just some silence. A lot of times some worship music. But those are the ways, man, that prayer, the journaling, the quiet time, the reading the word. If I'm aligned there, man, other things really start to fall in place for me.
That's awesome. So when you start to fall out of alignment, where do you see that show up in your life?
Yeah. So me, I've been a Christian long enough that I know how to like stay on my best behavior, but I really get thrown on staying with my best attitude. Yes. So that's where it shows up in my life. Okay. I know I'm out of alignment when I'm angry, when I'm irritated over the smallest things, when I'm extra weepy maybe, it's in my mood and it's in my attitude that's the first place it shows that I'm out of alignment. So again, for me, it's not necessarily behaviors or something I do or something I watch or a vice that I have, but it's just as important. I mean, the Lord calls us to not just have our behaviors in order, but to have our mind in order, to have our heart in order. So I know that he has called me to a life of rest, a life of peace, a life of hopefulness. So I find myself discouraged and anxious and disappointed and longing and frustrated. I am out of alignment because that's not what he has for me.
Absolutely. So what does it mean to love God?
Yeah, that's a big question.
It's a deep one.
Yeah. I mean, I think what it means to love God is pretty much what it means to love anyone. You know, that you want to be in a relationship, that you just simply want to know him, you want to spend time around him. What's so great about loving God is that it's not this what we know on earth in terms of loving another human.
Right.
His love is unconditional. His love is eternal. His love is not moody. His love is not conditional. So I think what it means to love God is to decide this is someone worth loving. This is someone worth moving towards, you know, and I think of the people in my life that I love, my husband and my children and dear friends. Like, I find myself looking for opportunities to be around them. I find myself looking for opportunities to serve them.
Yeah.
I want to know about them. I want to know what's changing in them. I want to know what they love and what they value. So it's been helpful for me to try to go, I know what it looks like to love a human. And so that's the experience God's given me. How do I translate that experience and try to demystify a bit what it means to love the Lord and just go, I'm going to love him, at least start by loving him in the same way as I try to love the people in my life.
That's awesome. And what does it mean to surrender? That's a tough one.
Yeah, surrendering is really tough. Our flesh kind of fights against surrender at every corner. You know, we would prefer to have authority, not surrender.
Well, the world we live in. Yeah.
Exactly. The world we live in says, right, like you control everything you want to control, and as long as you're happy, you know, that's what you're seeking. And so I think surrender to me, especially when it comes to the Lord, is saying, like, there's nothing in my life I'm not going to seek you on. Nothing. Not in my finances, not in my relationships, not in my profession, not in my friendships, not in my home. There's just nothing, Lord, that I'm going to say to you, I don't want you speaking into this part of my life, and I don't want to seek in your word. What does your word say about my marriage? What's your word say about how I mother? What's your word say about how I am in my profession? What's your word say about how I steward money? There's just everything, every aspect of my life, I am willing to seek you and try to surrender a little bit more every year. So I try to set goals on, like, have I surrendered more of my time to him every year than I did the year prior, both in like my personal devotional time, but also in serving others.
That's great.
So what's a way that this year I'm serving in a new way and surrendering more of myself to other people? Same with giving. Chris and I set giving goals every year and go, this year we'd like to give away more money than we gave away last year. And that's a big surrender.
Oh, for sure.
It's a big surrender, because we literally look at our list of things we want to do this year and we decide, what are we crossing off the list, so that instead we can attain this goal of giving more to him. So I try to put, my personality says, like, I need a grade card, you know? I need to be able to, like, measure, am I actually surrendering more to the Lord? And so that's one of the ways he's called me to that. And yet I find him so gracious when 6 months into the year, even at the end of the year, I haven't met that goal. I consistently hear him saying, beloved, I'm so proud of you for wanting it. I'm just so proud of you for even wanting this. And I will be with you as we walk this out.
What a gracious God.
He is so gracious. I'm so thankful.
Yes. Okay, this might be my favorite question.
Okay.
What is something that you prayed for that God didn't give you, and you're now thankful you didn't receive it?
Okay, very good. I think part of my faith has taught me, I tend to get away from being too prescriptive in my prayers, you know, like, God, I want this specific thing. I try to pray often, like, give me the desires of your heart. Let our desires line up. And so that helps, right? Because I think he doesn't really have a disappointing prayer life for us.
Right.
He has an abundant prayer life for us. However, I am still human. And so, especially in this last season, before Chris and I got to pastor this church, the last season we were in, it just looked very different from us, you know. So we pastored a church with you and Alan on staff, and it was so much fun. We like, replanted that church, really. It was, boy, blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh, it was a very different environment.
It was a very different environment, and we just gave everything we had
everything
to it. It was our fourth baby in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And we were so thankful for how you and Alan came alongside us and supported everything that was happening in CC. And so then we stepped out of that role. God called us to a different role, and Christopher served in the national office. And from this first Sunday we left in CC, we missed pastoring a church so badly. I mean, from the very first Sunday. And we were in that assignment for 6 years. So it was 6 years of going, will we ever get to pastor again? And I remember, like I said, from the first Sunday saying, God, bring us a church. Get us back into a church. I know we just started this job, but please send us back to a church. We want to be at a church. And I'm so thankful that God didn't answer the prayer when I wanted it. he obviously answered the prayer because now we get to Pastor
Right.
Oak's church, which is amazing.
Yes.
But I did pray for specific timing around that, which was not May of 2020, which is what it turned out to be.
Right.
Yeah, I prayed for years earlier. I did pray for specific churches. God, let us be the pastor of that church, and let us be the pastor of that church. I never prayed for this church because I never in a million years thought it could ever happen. So
That's
I'm so
amazing.
thankful that God didn't say, you're right, I'm going to let you pastor that church. I'm going to call you to it in that timing, that his timing was perfect and his church was perfect for how it played out for us. So like I said, I try to refrain from saying, God, give me this in this time, and try to consistently pray for his will. But when I have slipped into it, very rarely does his timing align with mine.
Absolutely.
And I've been so thankful when I am on the other side of it and go, you know what, you're right.
And you learned so much during that
Oh my
process.
goodness. The things I could have never learned if he had granted my prayer.
Absolutely.
And 6 months into that role, he had already transitioned us. I would have never learned what I learned from 6 years of waiting and resting and trusting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the daughter I am now had he not
Absolutely.
allowed for that.
So cool. Okay, one last question.
Okay.
Does your choice of friends matter in your faith?
Oh, boy, to me, it really, really has. My friends have been, outside of God's word, I don't know what's spoken into my faith more than my nearest family and friends. The friends are the ones, right, that you turn to in the crisis. And if they give you counsel towards the Lord, that completely alters your path than if they give you counsel that isn't lined up with the Lord. But it's our friends we call with a bad day or like the worst news. It's our friends that we call to celebrate. And it's the right friends that help us maybe find correction when we need it.
Yes.
You know, as adults, there are times when I'm acting in a way I need someone to say, you know what? I just know that's not who you really are.
Yeah.
That's not who you really are. And so friends that aren't seeking the Lord for me, you know, I'm so thankful that I have friends that are praying about me and gaining wisdom from the Lord on how to be in friendship with me. And so they challenge me far more than that. They encourage me, they love me, and I know that I can trust their counsel to be bringing me closer to God.
So important.
Yeah, I think as adult girls,
Yes.
it's a big deal. You have to fight for those
You
relationships.
do. And the older we get, it's harder to find those adult relationships.
It is, because these other relationships in our lives, our spouses and our kids, man, they're needy.
They are.
They are needy.
And they're not always fun.
No, they require a lot.
Yes.
And, you know, as moms and wives, man, we just jump in and we
Yes.
give so much to them and go, it's fine. I can have friends 20 years from now. But I'm going to have, and probably as a high school girl, as a college girl, as a young adult, like probably our friendships were like highest priority.
Absolutely.
And that was such a significant part of our lives. And all of a sudden, it's like you go from, you know, feast to famine.
Yes. Yes.
When it comes to friendship. So I have to work so hard to be really intentional around those friendships. It means that the circle's gotten a little smaller
Absolutely.
during these years that I've been raising kids and you know, working and all of that. But God has really challenged me towards, I am not calling you to walk this out alone. He said to me the other day, and I love this, if you know the Lord's Prayer, right? Our Father who art in heaven. He said, what's the first word of that prayer? I always think about Father, because I'm so thankful. Like he could have said, when you pray to me, you say God or Lord. And instead he said, say Father. So I love that. But that's not the first word. The first word is our. So that means we're in community. He's saying, never say I'm only your God. That our is this recognition that like your faith is only in community. Your faith is when you're around other people who also have the same Father. So your faith is built on those brothers and sisters in Christ. And so in that vein, and because we believe that so strongly, we've launched several things at the church since Chris and I came in 2020, solely based around the church finding community with each other and just with the community we live in. Because we think of faith in isolation is a weak faith.
For sure.
It's a lonely faith. And so, you know, we started this Parties at 8, which is really very simple. I'm so thankful the Lord led us to this idea of just like, okay, would somebody book a table of 8 at a restaurant, and would you let us know that you booked it, and then girls can sign up for that table?
So fun. It's so fun.
We actually make the point of like not doing Bible study. Like it's not about coming together and studying the Word. It's about coming together and finding friends in faith.
Friends, faith, and food.
Yes.
We ladies like to
food.
eat.
And we live in Dallas. We got great food
food.
options.
Great
so
food.
Parties of 8, I am so just encouraged every time I hear stories from girls that go, I've never really found my friends at church. I joined a party today, and then the next month, something in my life really hard happened.
Yes.
And it was like God perfectly ordained the time when I had this community gather around me. I know that's happened in your party too, in your group too.
Yes.
That they have just said, like, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have these girls to walk me through the heaviest part of my life, and I didn't even know them a month ago.
Yeah.
You know, so that has really been something that's helped girls find friends at church, which I think is so important. And then, you know, our Oaks Women Nights.
Oh, can't wait. When's coming out?
I know. We have another Oaks Women Night a week from Friday.
That's awesome.
So,
February 25th, right?
February 25th.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's going to be amazing. I love that it's not just a service, and the service is always fantastic.
Yes.
But it's a party before and it's a party after.
So much fun.
I know, because I want to give girls that chance just to, you know, grab some food trucks, grab some coffee. We're having like a permanent jewelry station this time. We've got all kinds of ways for girls to just have a bit of a girls' night out, but that points you to Jesus. There's a whole lot of girls' night outs that don't point you to Jesus.
Absolutely.
So we thought, you know what, this is absolutely worthy to give the girls, not just in our church, but in our community, this opportunity just to find connections. And we have heard, I pray every time, like, God, do what we can't do in 3 hours, form forever friendships somehow in this 3-hour event. And every single time I've had people come back to me and say, I literally found like a mentor from Oaks Women Night, and we meet every single week. I found a new best friend from Oaks Women Night, and like she has walked me through so many things, and we're raising our kids side by side. Like, thank you, God. We can't, you know, it's not like a find a friend night.
Right, no, it's all very organic and natural. But you guys have done such a great job of setting up these community events so that people can find their people.
Yes,
it's
I love gathering.
Yes.
So I love how we
that.
gather.
Yeah.
We have missed it. It was the right timing after COVID, because the last thing we did during COVID was gather.
Yes.
And so it's felt like we need to gather.
All the time. Yes. No, it's so good.
Coming off of COVID. So yeah, those friendships are so crucial in my life, and I'm going to do everything I can to help girls in our community find those friendships as well.
Love it. Yeah. So for people who are interested maybe in our women's ministry or even events at the Oaks, where would you tell them to go?
Yeah, oaks.church is our website. There's a drop down to women. You can follow us on any of our social media, Oaks Church on Instagram and Facebook, Oaks Women on Instagram and Facebook. And it gives all the details about the upcoming events. Like you said, on February 25th, we have our next Oaks Women Night. Awesome. The pre-party's at 5:30. We do have free childcare available for single moms. So you do need to register for that if you're a single mom that needs childcare. But oaks.church is definitely the place, or any of our social media outlets, to go to and get any information that you want.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Love you, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
So fun.
Thank you.
Growth in these areas takes work. If you're feeling stuck, give me a call at Ignite You 90 and see how our coaching program can help you move forward.